Welcome back, guys. We are now on part 4 of our Klingon cruiser build. I've been doing a little bit of work over the weekend here. Nothing much on the main section here. This is just ready for the deck to be put on it and the neck to be attached. So I did attach this deck on here. It went on okay. As I said in my other video that I was getting a gap on either side, I still got a bit of a gap. What is that? Oh, that would be hot glue all over the place. Get off my hand. Anyways, the adhesive, when I glued this in, formed a bond and formed a little bit of a bridge here. So that gap is filled. I will be having to go over. As you can see, you're actually getting light just from my light over here going through that. So I'll be having to paint that black before I put the primer on that, just as a stopgap method, I guess, or just to make sure it's not gonna bleed. Same thing on this side, except this gap was larger, and so I went in there with some super glue actually, and then hit it with a kicker here, BSI, and then that formed a bond. I wanted a bond. I didn't want Bondo. Bondo does not bond. It just does. So this will be bonded to this. These two pieces will be bonded together by the super glue, better than putting any putty or filler in there. And then I'll just sand. What little sanding I have to do, I'll just sand that off, and it's very minimal. But yeah, this will form a bond. I mean, this piece is really flexible, and I didn't want it to crack while I was trying to assemble this. Let's see here. Oh, the underside, we have our light strips. 3 strip right there, and I tied them together. And then we have our red strip, which is below this. Now the 3 strip was bleeding into this section here, so the red glow had some white light around it, and I didn't like that look. So I put a backing plate here that blocks this light. Also, this light strip will bleed into up here, so I put some evergreen up here, and I filled those in. So it won't bleed from the bottom and it won't bleed from the back now. And as you can see by this, I have a lot of filling to do in this section here. I'm also going to add some detail to here. I'm going to add some, since this is the tail of the ship, I'm going to add some tail looking feathers, because this has kind of wing feathers on it. And I like the look of these specific feathers right here, as you can see. And I'm going to put those, something like that back here, to kind of indicate a tail. Bird's tail. So that is, I think, it for this at the moment. I got my bulb together. Actually, I had it together last week. I did the filling and putting. Not a lot on this, actually. Just a little bit back here at the tail. There's a little notch in here, which I kind of got. I'll get that better when I get the neck in, because I'll have a surface to put my putty on. It's just kind of a blank in here. But yeah, not a lot of puttying. This was a huge step, as you can see by where I filed it. I had to file this edge down to meet with this one, almost, well, along to here, and then this I got a little putty on. Same thing up here. This whole thing was a nice little step. I got my putty in there to get rid of that seam. Actually, there's a huge gap, and I got my putty in there. So the light does shine through here, so I'll have to be putting some black on there as a light blocking coat before I put the primer on it, and also have to mask that little photon emitter off. And I did get a little light leak up here, so I'll just put some tulip in there to kind of fill that in. Just a tiny little bit right there where the plastic didn't meet. And if you look at this straight on, it is just a touch off. That makes me mad, but yeah, it's leaning a little bit like so, just a touch. Unfortunate, but it happened. So yeah, I got these tied together. I got my wire for the neck all done up. I just had to solder this together, and then I'm going to be cementing in the neck. That's my plan for today, at least. I got some work done on the base. I got my styrene strip in here. I just used some evergreen for that too. And I just cut it. I put this down on the evergreen. I just took a pencil, outlined it, cut it, lined it up, trimmed it a little bit to shape, so it fits in here pretty well. Can't really tell. except for the seam, which I'll be taking care of this seam. I'll be taking care of this seam. There are a couple of seams on the bottom here I want to take care of. You won't really super see them, but I can. They annoy me. That's the only reason I'm doing this. These you see a little bit better, just because of where they are. Once I get all the black on, these will kind of end. This one won't. This one's kind of harsh, but this one will. And the back one is not much of a seam, and you'll never see it because it's always going to be in shadow. And then I'll be cutting my holes in here. I've decided to put my switch here, and my power supply right here. So switch, power supply. I'll just Dremel out some holes for those. And that, I think, is everything caught up. I'm going to get to work. I am going to get this neck assembled today. I would like to get it attached into here. The other thing I have to do when I get the neck assembled is take this flasher and tie it into here. And then from there, we'll be tying it into our timing chip, which is over here. And then we can tie, because of the neck will be assembled, we can tie all of our wires together, and then I'm going to run them out the bottom here. And I'll have everything tied together. I'm not going to solder the main wire on yet. I don't need to do that. Also, the main wire going through here, that shouldn't be... I assembled this and didn't put the main wire in. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue to run this down here and finagle it out this hole. If it does become an issue, I could always make this hole bigger. I've got plenty of room down here to widen that. If I get mad, I can't get it through there. But that shouldn't be too big of a problem. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to get to work. I'll see you guys in a second. Hey guys, as you can see, I have the neck attached now. And I'll be having to go back in here, obviously do a lot of putty work right in here. And the seam isn't too bad, but I will probably be having to be puttying that up. The only thing I have left on this is put these little winglets, these little guys, on the ends here, and that shouldn't be a problem. I will have to do some puttying around these. Also, these have a nasty little dip there you can see in them. I'll have to be puttying over. I did get my putty back here. So I got all that puttied up. It's dry. I'll have to sand and file all this. There's some stuff around here. And along this seam I'll have to, and still see that seam there. I'll have to fix that. Do another round of puttying on there. Probably on both of these. So, yeah, that's, I want to get the putty done so I can get my piece on here. But, I had a problem. I went to, the super glue on this side was way too high, and it was there was a conflict with the edge of this, and it was popping this edge up when I put it along this ledge right here. So I went to cut it off, and it just broke off all my fiber optics. Now they're sticking out of the top, and there's tons of light in here. I will be still getting light into those ports there. So that shouldn't interrupt the light, and I'm still gonna get light into there, because this thing lights this whole thing up very well. There's gonna be a lot of light leak from this, I can tell. But what happened was this fiber just turned to sand. It just snapped off. I wasn't even meaning to cut the fiber. I was meaning to cut the adhesive around it, and it just broke into pieces. Now, I was warned not to do this, and I was told you could do this with Kicker. Those were done with Kicker. You should not use super glue on fiber optic. So, and that was with Kicker. Without Kicker, with Kicker, I've done it both ways. These have snapped. So right here, I did a test. This super glue is on the fiber without Kicker. This super glue is on the fiber with Kicker. And that doesn't seem so bad without the Kicker there. It is dry. Of course, that was sitting for a while, so I don't know. And it seems like it's more breaking up the super glue than snapping the fiber or making the fiber brittle. So we'll see what the kicker, if that is doing the same thing. It might take days for this to become brittle, but that was definitely brittle. So still not going to super glue any fiber. I'm going to use canopy glue from now on. I know that for sure. Canopy glue doesn't make fiber optic brittle. So hopefully that'll be okay. I'm going to start filling these seams and getting this taken care of. I'll be right back. Hey guys, as you can see, primer over everything. I got everything taken care of on the primer, everything I need done here. Got my tail feathers on there. I have this thing's I'm left this green. I'm gonna primer it once the neck and the top is attached here. Of course, plastic. I took all the paint off the plastic. Always remember, plastic to plastic. You don't want to try to bond plastic to paint. I did take care of a little bit of more seam work I had in here. This was looking pretty seamy in here and down in here, so I got that taken care of. I got my silly putty in there to mask off my photon emitter. Because it's already painted black, why bother repainting it? So I'm going to get the neck attached here. I'll be right back once that is dry. Be back in a second. Hey guys, as you can see, I got the neck connected here. Tons of glue right back in here. And as you can see, that is solid. It's not going anywhere. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a twist in the bulb. That's a lot of bit of twist looking at the camera. Yep, that's unfortunate. I think it's mainly this, but the bulb is just a little twisted. That's what happens when you look at stuff and it looks straight on, and then you get it onto here and it doesn't look straight on. Well, I ran all my wires down through here. Well, I ran the wires from the neck and from in here. They're all run out the bottom. I do have to get the hood on this, and I have to run these two wires. These are the last two wires, and I'll just run those down through the same hole I ran those through. No big problem. But that's going to do it for this week. Next week, I'll be putting the lid on, and we'll be mixing up our main body color. So I want to thank everyone for watching, and you guys take care. Hopefully we'll see you then.